The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Monday, the 22nd day of March, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, and Lindo's. I'm Jamal Hartman, along with Carla Zool. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. If you're watching online, share the link. If you're on Facebook, start a watch party. If you're on Twitter, retweet it. Just get the comfort. Well, you know what? If you're watching on channel 82 or the 4100 radio, you want to get the conversation out as well. Let people know we're on. It's Monday. It's a new week, and Carla is bound to say something. Sing something. Guess something wrong. Yeah. A good one to begin the week, as Cheryl Packwood is in the house for a conversation. The Daily Play is a Who Said It. So Carla is guessing a famous quote. Today's quote is so easy that, and you realize when I've been saying they're so easy lately, she's been getting them.
That's not true. I've been getting the hard ones. Come on now, give me some credit.
I didn't say you didn't get the hard ones. What I'm saying is every time I haven't let the audience down when I've told them it's going to be an easy one. Like you haven't let them down, I should say. When I said it's been easy, you've been getting them. I didn't say you haven't gotten the hard ones. You're getting better at this. I think what the audience doesn't know is I gave you a handbook, a study book.
It's lying.
And ever since you had that study book, you've been doing pretty well for you.
He's only doing this, you guys. He's lying. He's afraid because he thinks I beat him at the walk-in challenge this weekend. Okay.
So let's talk about it then. Well, look, we have a lot to get to, and we definitely want to touch on. I'm not going to call him names. The Premier, David Burke. Look at that. I'm getting better. I didn't call him anything. Burke Coin, none of that stuff. I said the Premier, David
Burke Coin. I never heard that one.
Anyway, let's talk about the steps. So for those who participate, did anyone participate in the Defeat Diabetes walk this weekend? Carla, she participated in the Daily Hour Challenge. And so, Carla, how many steps did you get this weekend?
I did, hold on, because I had to write it down, 21,142 steps.
All weekend?
I only did Saturday and Sunday, so yeah.
Well, those are the 2 days, right?
Well, because they said it started at Friday, but anyway, yeah. So I walked
Friday at 11 p.m. though.
I walked, I rode, and riding. People, if you're doing steps, riding takes away your steps, so don't ride. So I hopped off the bike when I realized it was deducing my steps.
So without Jackie here, we're gonna declare Carla the winner. Let me tell you how. My wife set me up, folks. She set me up. And I'm going to tell you how she set me up. So everybody knew I was doing this walking challenge this weekend. This has never happened in all my years having a smartwatch. What do you think happened at the beginning of our walk?
The battery died.
It died.
Thanks, Nikki.
And she's like, you're really going to go back inside just to beat and goes on and on and on. And I just said, you know what? It's over. It's over. It's over. So that said, I owe
you a Smith, Nikki.
I only have, and I'll have to double check, but I believe I only have 5,500 steps recorded because my watch was dead on Saturday.
But do you know, ordinarily, if a normal weekend, that those steps, the 5,000 whatever, would have beat me by a landslide. Like, I made an effort. I walked.
Well, I'm glad.
Everywhere.
You look. You know what, folks? Honestly, I just said, you know what? She's gonna win this, and I'm not lying. I did not do this purposely. when I realized my watch was dead, I was like, it's just not. You know what? It's not meant for me to go back and then do it again. This is how life works, and it was one of those things where, that remember the tortoise and the hare story? Like got arrogant, thought he was going to win it, and look what happened. Went sleep on the trail, and the tortoise just went on by. So I'm not calling you the tortoise, by the way, Carl. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you are. But you know what? I seriously thank you. Thank you for challenging me because I don't, as you guys know, my fear was like almost like you've quadrupled your average. So my average steps were 300 a day. No lie. Like literally use the bathroom, come back to my
Yeah, that's in-house steps. Well, look, there is a positive out of this, folks. Carla got moving, and the I guess we can crown her the winner. Well, hold on, we can crown her the winner for now because we don't know what Jackie. Now, Jackie did have some excuses that it was raining in Bermuda, so yeah. But look, Carla, you've got like, I mean, your fans are going crazy. You know, they're James Birch said that he participated in the Defeat Diabetes. He did some laps around the Arboretum. Did anyone go into St. George's? Look, I just look, Carla, look at them. They're just clapping you on. I don't know how this makes you 6 for 6, though. I mean, this is not the daily
Thank you, David.
Yeah. Yeah.
But did you see the video of Naive laughing at me on the bike?
So Carlos has this video up, folks. Did you put it up?
It's on my page, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's just say go to our social media to see it. She was riding slower than most people walk. Yeah, it was
a kid's bike.
Well, I thought that if you rode that slow, you would lose balance and fall. That's how slow you were going. I at one point I thought it was a stationary bike outdoors. But look, we're not going to tease Carla this morning. That's not what we're here. Carla,
yes.
Congratulations on your victory. Now we move on because
can I have some cheery noise, please, before we?
Hold on, folks. Yes, we have to give her applause. Yes,
thank you. Okay, move on.
They were going crazy for you just now. Look at that. But look, so COVID cases in Bermuda. I mean, I don't know what more to say. The COVID cases in Bermuda. There's COVID cases in Bermuda.
Now, at this point, and I feel like this, even looking at Miami, people are going to do what they want to do. And I think we have to get to a point in our community where, regardless where we are, we protect ourselves. And it seems like we're just going to have to navigate it because people are just determined to do whatever they want. Well, I don't know what else to say, man.
I see the premier and his cabinet met. And I just think the more this goes on, the more divisive an issue this becomes. I don't feel like it was this divisive in the beginning. Whether we're going to shut down Bermuda or put restrictions on Bermudians, I don't quite think it was as divisive as it's coming to be. And I think you mentioned something last week, Carla, about people ruining friendships and so on. Look, I said it when we had, I believe, Assistant Commissioner Martin Weeks on the show. Right. I see people talking about marching against the restrictions and so on. If that's what you choose to do, just understand there are consequences to actions. Right. That's one. There are so many other countries that are going through similar things. Right. I've said it before on this show and in private conversations with people that it's probably not going to be for another 5 or 10 years when you know which jurisdiction, which country, which city took the best measures to deal with COVID, right? In the immediate, some people may think, well, we stayed open and our economy is doing well, but what's the death toll, right? Some people may think that, the economy is doing poorly, but more people are living and healthier. So I just think it's too early to tell who's doing it the right way. What I will say is that I think as we get older, or I can speak for myself, we tend to observe more, right? And when we observe more, we probably talk a bit less. my hope is that so many people who continuously come with the answers that probably have no true understanding of how things work. My hope is that one day they get to the point where they do more observing to understand than being so reactive. I would
I
not
just
want to be in the Premier David Burt's shoes. I mean, as a Premier, I'm probably not his biggest fan, but I wouldn't want to be in his shoes because these are situations where the right thing may be unpopular. Well, that's politics mostly, unless you're catering to a specific base. Go ahead, Carla.
Sorry, one thing I have seen a lot, what I saw this weekend were many young people, when I say young people, like under 35, um, really being vocal about the dislike for the amount of disrespect towards the premier and Dr. Bowden. You know, um, it, people can have their opinions. I've said this over and over, but do you have to be disrespectful? Do you have to think you know everything when that's not your area of expertise? Imagine me going and telling a teacher, this is how you teach. I'm not a qualified teacher. And it's almost to the point where it's revolting to me, the blatant disrespect and disregard. But I mean, I was just watching CNN about Brazil and people are partying and all that. And the thing that hit me just before we came on the show, they said the people are dying so fast and the funeral homes are so overwhelmed. And I'm not being dramatic about this
In
because it
Brazil?
can happen in Brazil that they're only allowed 15-minute funerals for their loved ones. They're literally in, hurting them out, get out, bury them. Bermuda's in such a overall a good space. Why do we continually think that decisions that are being taken, whether we like them or not, are for the not in the best interest of the country?
Well, I think someone said it this weekend. I can't remember, but I think I came across a tweet that said, the truth is Bermudians don't like authority, and I say it all the time. I have a problem with authority, and the analogy they gave was, we when our parents told us to eat vegetables, we didn't like it, right? That's authority. So I think a lot of it comes down to, one of the questions that was asked early on last summer was, why was it so easy for certain countries to make it go away or like settle it down so fast? And that's because many of those countries, they don't necessarily have the freedoms that others have, right? So once people have something taken away from them that they feel is a right, or they've been told is a right, then chances are they're gonna rebel. um it's a very divisive, I think it's been made political. It's a very divisive issue. um I know how I feel. I've repeated it. I don't agree with government sanctions. I don't know how many times. It's probably a broken record at this point. However, when we fail to make decisions that are in the best interest of those around us, and mind you, we may think that the decisions we're making are in the best interest when we're doing what we're doing. But at the end of the day, as long as we have a system that we live within, then we can't just do as we please. That's the real of it. That's the real. Freedom is only so free. Yeah. That's
Mhm.
why there's laws that exist and policies that exist. It does have its limits. Rick Olson says RCL, Royal Caribbean Line, begins some cruises in June. All passengers over 18 must be vaccinated as well as staff. I did read an article this weekend regarding that Royal Caribbean will be back. You catching a cruise, Carl?
Nope.
Okay, Carla's not in. Robert Durham says we have some selfish people until they are the cause of a family member getting the virus. Deborah Leah Joe Bell, Carla.
As mentioned so many times previously, that there is a balance, i.e., the economy thriving and protecting the health of the community. That has to be realized through trial and error, and we must respect authority and their decisions through this.
All right. Tamara Richardson says, because we have a whole boat race planned a month from now. We seem to have no solid plan. We have clear communication on what numbers will send us back to strict restrictions. And you can't just issue edicts and not expect right thinking people to question why. Well, I want to address this because I was going to say that you mentioned experts earlier, right, Carla? And I must have used the term last week. And I want to make something clear. I think people in the year 2021 have every right to question the experts per se.
Mhm.
I think over my adulthood, the experts have been wrong more than they've been right in many respects. And I just want to use this situation. Last year, this time, never forget, and I'm not trying to hype anyone up by saying this, but never forget, it's been explained that no one knew how to respond to this virus, right? We've had people on that have spoken on that.
Mhm.
But the mixed messages, they're not going to help people buy into what you're trying to sell. So when you're saying, "Oh, mask won't help," and then you say that mask will, like it does that. It does things. Now, furthermore, I want to touch on explaining things. Well, you know, the Bermuda Regiment used to always say they need a certain amount of conscripts for the regiment to work. Well, if that's what is this number and what's it based on? Once you started asking questions, they couldn't explain why it made sense. They could tell you, well, we need these amounts of people here, but they couldn't tell
Mhm.
you why. What would it fall apart? So when we're asking things like, okay, what is the biggest issue with a curfew at 11 p.m. versus midnight? You have to be prepared to explain it in layman terms to the people for them to buy in. You can't just tell them things. And that's why I have a problem with authority, because I don't want people just telling me to do stuff. Explain to me why it makes sense and get me interested in wanting to do it. You know,
That's a
no,
fair assertion.
go ahead, Carla, Michelle.
Sorry. Do you think that it's also about the overall marketing of the vaccine? I just thought about it this weekend that if they had promoted it as a protein, the vaccine might be more acceptable. Just another take on this. And real quick, one thing I totally disagree with, Premier Browse and say Dr. Burt, Premier Burt continually saying the vaccine is the answer,
Mhm.
right? I just feel, period, let people take whatever choices and decisions they want to take. I'm not an anti vaxxer, but I don't want the vaccine yet. But I do think that narrative of this is the only way forward
Mhm.
is not a right one.
Mhm. Vanessa Paula says, I believe the fuel to the fire this weekend was the premier consent having special approval yet before the new restrictions on Saturday. The maximum number of groups was 25. So why was this given special approval, knowing there was a high chance of having more than 25 people attending? It's very inconsistent on the green lights versus red lights. The GP sale race is allowed. Guess we need money. So I think what I found interesting, and maybe it could have just been the copy I had of the premier's concert request, but it didn't have a specific number there on when it was saying how many people. So that even stuff like that is not helpful. It did get moved to virtual, as I was
I was
told,
gonna say,
but
yeah.
it doesn't set a good precedent, knowing that the optics don't look good. They just don't look good. And the premier and the government have to do better. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says the sad thing is that the moment our emergency services get overwhelmed, we are in serious trouble. We can't afford to even have 50 people show up to KEMH with COVID issue. Linda Bogelmeisner says, people need to stop the BS. When it rolls up on your doorstep, you will come running for help and money. And Linda Bogelmeisner says, if our healthcare systems get overwhelming, where will we go? You can't fly with COVID-19 people. All right. So very strong opinions on that. We have our guest, Cheryl Packwood, in the background. I believe we did have a question. The vaccination rate in Bermuda at last check, if what I saw this weekend was 26% both doses, 18% one, if I'm not mistaken. So that's what I believe I came across this weekend. If anyone has that information, feel free to share. Carla, we're going to get a news break from Carla. We're going to take a commercial break, and then we'll be back to have a conversation with Cheryl Packwood. Always an awesome person to hear from. Over to you, Carla.
The Ministry of Health's Epidemiology and Surveillance Unit is aware of COVID-19 exposure at West Pembroke Primary School, and the person or persons confirmed with COVID-19 has been isolated. Based on the risk assessment conducted by the ESU, all students and associated teachers in P6 classes must quarantine until April 1st. They must get COVID-19 tested and retested again on or after day 14. For those who live in a home with a quarantined individual and are unable to separate from the individual, i.e., separate bedroom and bathroom, no common spaces, they must also go into quarantine. Saliva testing has been arranged for the entire school on Tuesday, March 23rd, and the principal has been in contact with all stakeholders with testing instructions. Minister of Education Diallo Raben stating the Department of Health is still engaged in assessing this situation. We ask everyone who has children, family, or friends associated with the school system to use caution and strictly adhere to the government safety measures to help us contain this latest community outbreak and reduce the transmission of COVID-19. Water Day is an annual event that looks at the global issues surrounding access to clean, safe drinking water and sanitation. This year's Water Day is focused on the link between water and climate change and how the two are linked. The UN has said adapting to the water effects of climate change will protect health and save lives. Water is such a precious commodity that many take for granted. World Water Day is a chance to think about those people and places where water needs are still paramount and seek to work together to find a solution. Turning to weather, the temperature in Bermuda is expected to reach a high of 68 today. Atlanta, Georgia will see a high of 69, and London, UK, a high of 55. That's your Daily Hour news break.
Thanks for that, Carla. No joke, but one thing growing up that I guess in most Bermudian households, you don't realize. Maybe this is Black Bermudian households, but living in our house, you understood how important water was. Like legit. Like I don't even want to give examples, but I'm sure every Bermudian can relate to this. Taking a shower, wet your body, turn the shower off, soap it up, turn the shower back on, and wash off. Don't let Nana hear that shower going longer than 5-10 minutes. Water was a precious thing in Bermuda when I was growing up. I don't know if it's still like that, but boy, Water Day. That's an important day. That's all I'll say. Carla came from a more privileged home, so she's not used to.
No, I didn't. My granny wouldn't even allow me wash dishes. To be.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with Dirty Dish Carla.
Good day, Medical House Doris speaking. Can I help you?
Medical House is Bermuda's leading one-stop shop for healthcare.
Medical House is a great resource for Leroy. The service is excellent.
Medical House is best known for its uniforms and footwear. It has hundreds of styles of scrubs and nurses' uniforms for health professionals. Bermuda's top doctors, dentists, care homes, and the hospital choose Medical House for a wide range of products. These same professional quality products are available to you for home health care.
The biggest reason to come see us is that we specialize in these areas and the education and knowledge that we provide.
Medical House is on Millreach Lane in Pembroke, where there is private parking right outside the door. Call or visit Medical House today.
The Friends of Hospice, in support of Agape House, Bermuda's unique hospice dedicated to the compassionate care of those in our community affected by life-threatening illnesses, is holding a fish fry on Friday, the 26th of March between 4 and 7 p.m. In keeping with the required public health procedures of the times, the fish fry will be a drive-through affair. You can collect your fish dinners from the Wesley Methodist Church kitchen on Church Street. Go to friendsofhospice.bm to place your orders. For more info, call 232-0859. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the Big Show. Carla Zul, Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and our friends over at Channel 82, where you can also watch this and many other locally produced shows if you have One Communications cable. All right, Dirty Dish Carla.
I like that. That's cute.
All right, so we have a special guest in the building. We're just going to bring in Cheryl Packwood. Before I bring her, I'm gonna put her on the spot. A person I definitely value her insight, and I've asked her to come on quite a bit because I just feel like what she adds to conversations. If you've ever seen her with Don Burgess, it's truly it's good conversation. So if you have any questions for her, please send them through. We will definitely try to include as many people as possible while Ms. Packwood is in. But without further ado, let's bring in Cheryl. I don't want to make her too nervous by speaking highly of it. Cheryl, welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are
Good
Thank
you?
morning.
Actually, I
I'm
see how you guys are. You guys are fun.
Carla brings a bit of fun to the show. Apparently I'm grumpy, so I just try to make people believe that I actually do smile, But look,
Sorry about that. I have a pen cat that just went by, if you didn't notice.
oh, no problem. We definitely had cats on the show before. Actually, it was another Cheryl here.
Let's hear it.
Yes. So she had her cat made a guest appearance as well. We don't mind cats. As Carlos,
I actually locked him in the bedroom, and he managed to get out.
well, he's trying to get his 15 seconds. Don't worry about that. I mean, look, just make sure he introduces himself. Us Bermudians, people be like, well, how are you going to come in the room and not say good morning? But don't worry about that. We're good. But look,
Exactly.
as a former CEO of Business Bermuda, which I believe is now known as the Bermuda Business Development Agency, what are your thoughts on the current state of the global economy? Some of the things I've read recently on Inc. and Business Insider have spoken about, how certain industries have actually done pretty well when you look at technology, the shares of technological companies going up. But then there are industries that have been hard hit, like the tourism and hospitality industry. Well, what are your thoughts at the current state?
It's so hard to tell because I was looking at some figures last night, and it's interesting because the IMF has upgraded a couple things. They said that like the global economy in 2020, it retracted by 3.5% as opposed to what was expected of minus 4.5%. And this year, it's looking at a growth of 5.5%. And in 2022, 4.2%. Now that's overall, and everything is mixed. And what was even more interesting is that emerging market economies did better last year and are expected to do better this year and next year overall than what they call advanced economies in the IMF.
So when you say emerging economies, real quickly, just so that people have an understanding, I knew it was BRIC when I was back in graduate school. What are considered the emerging economies today?
Well, BRIC is just, that's BRIC. It's just like 5 countries. The emerging markets are a whole list of countries, and they even put China in there. But with the, China, Brazil, Mexico, South Africa, India are all listed as emerging market countries. And then with advanced countries, the IMF is listing the US, UK, all of the Eurozone. And this is Samor Machel, named after the Mozambique Marxian communist leader who was killed in an airplane crash in the 1980s over the South African Mozambique border. And what is very interesting is his wife, Graça Machel, his widow, married Nelson Mandela. And she's the only woman in the world to be the first lady of 2 countries.
Oh,
but anyway, yeah, no, she's a brilliant and fascinating woman. And but I'm off topic. We can go and talk about her later when we talk about women. So that's how they distinguish the countries. I was saying that the advanced countries, UK, Eurozone, US, Canada. There's, the whole virtual economy, Amazon, Zoom, they all just skyrocketed in 2020. And then they have what's now called the gig economy. You have a little gig, whether it's delivering groceries, shopping for people, running errands, walking dogs. That's been taking off here. Well, it's taken off. It has to. It's in Bermuda. We have delivery services for the first time. Yeah. Here in the U.S. Here for me is like, where am I? Because I'm somewhere between Virginia, New York, and Bermuda these days. and it's
Quite a
taken
time.
off in the U.S. Yeah, I it can only last, I think, for so long, especially in Bermuda, to the extent that we are so dependent on imports, and we so need foreign exchange to be able to buy any of those things that you would deliver. Like any
So you,
grocery that you're going to buy, you need money to purchase it. So just having a gig economy that's working within itself is
Mhm.
not going to grow that economy.
Right. Okay. That's what I thought you were saying. So the gig economy can only do so much. We need the gig economy will keep the money circulating, but Bermuda needs income from outwards, is what you're saying.
I mean, yeah, if we just look at the commercials that came on during the break, whether it's Lindo's or it was Medical House, all of those products are things that come in from abroad, and you have to grow your economy with foreign exchange to be able to purchase those things. And just getting a gig here and there or is not enough to
Uh-huh.
grow that economy. And so I, in Bermuda particularly, we need to figure out how to become sustainable, how to maintain and produce not just services like, insurance or
Mhm.
hospitality to the rest of the world. We need to figure out, can we actually feed the rest of the world? Could we do, there was a time when we were talking about the budget last year on a different program, and we're talking about vertical farming, and the technology is there, and there's actually a company, I think, in Bermuda that wants to look at the ability to use what you would do in a parking lot situation in the US, for example, where they go up and down and so forth, to do the same thing in Bermuda with vertical farming and plants, and actually lead to the point where you're exporting those produce, lettuce, vegetables, whatever, to the rest of the world, because the rest of the world needs food, and more so in what has happened after the pandemic. And we saw shortages when different plants got COVID last year in 2020. You couldn't find chicken on the market, or you couldn't find any green vegetables, or pork plants went out for a while and you couldn't find any pork. Now, we're not going to be producing pork en masse in Bermuda, but we could conceivably do vertical farming by going up. We could conceivably be doing fish farming on a large scale. I saw in the budget that they have something for a little cooperative, but I'm talking about actually doing industrial fish farming, because all we have is water. Why not use it?
Right.
To be able to send tons. And I read this article last week. It was fascinating. I know you want to get a question, but let me finish. I got this on my mind. It was Liberian. It was actually about how it's very hard because Liberians are diving to pull up sea cucumbers from the water. Our slugs that you use to send off to China. Apparently, they can get up to 6,000 pounds per kilo. That's more than $3,000 per pound for sea slugs, and in China. And they're doing it on like one person diving and trying to pull these sea slugs out at night when they come out. But if you did it, think about it. If you did this on an industrial level, the amount of money that could be brought in, there's all sorts of things we need to be thinking about.
Yeah, I
Don't
think
you
I think
have
so.
you have your head all scrunched up? It's a
No, no.
delicacy in China.
I think some of the concerns that people have had when I've seen that mentioned is the fact that the environmentalists want to be careful about overfishing, and I think that those are some of the things that they've bumped into. But I definitely agree. Those things definitely need to be and should have been explored long ago. How is it going to look? How is it going to look long term? I think there are questions about that, but I think Bermuda's in a spot where they need to be looking at all angles. Bermuda in particular, need to be looking at all options on the table. So I definitely think it's a consideration. I just want to transition back because you did mention like tourism a bit earlier, and Bermuda isn't alone in being hit hard with tourism. As you know, travel has pretty much been hit globally, right? But as Rick Olson mentioned earlier, Royal Caribbean Line, they're going to be starting cruises again in June. And obviously, some places are opening back up their borders with people. Now, the key thing with the Royal Caribbean is you have to be vaccinated and over 18. But what do you think that travel looks like? Do you think there's a comeback within the next? I know there was an article that you had sent me. I think it was in New York, something, but they said they don't see it coming back within the next 5 years. But what are your thoughts on it when you look at that industry and everything else globally?
Travel is interesting. Over the holiday, they did have an uptick in travel within the United States. However, we now are seeing, a major surge. We're seeing new variants. The reason why the IMF was a lot more positive was because of the vaccine, the advent of the vaccine coming out, and which should help with the global economy coming back, and even hospitality. The problem is that people change their behavior generally. What are the risks you're willing to take and why? It's one thing to go see your family over the holiday season. It's another thing to say, oh, I'm just going to take risks to go visit Bermuda. I think that's a different leap, and those are different behaviors. And again, tourism is based on how people are feeling in terms of their discretionary spending, how much money they're making, whether they have a job, whether their job gives them time off. And all of these things are very much up in the air this year, next year, because even though the global economy is supposed to come back in 2021 at 5.5%, that's from having declined negative 3.5% last year. So I'm really, that's why I say we have to try something new and something more. I go back to the concept of aquaculture, and technology has improved tremendously over the years. It's actually exponentially, as we've seen, and it is very much possible to consider and looking into seriously doing something more than a small cooperative, something that can truly bring jobs and foreign exchange to the island, so that we can then purchase much needed goods and for ourselves. I am concerned in terms of, because tourism hires the most amount of people. It may not bring in the most amount of money, but it does hire the most amount of people, and I'm not sure those jobs are coming back. How willing are you to get on a cruise ship next year?
Oh, I'd go. I don't think anyone else is going to go.
I won't.
I don't think I could get my family on a cruise ship. I'm prepared to get the vaccine. I think I'm the only one of my friends that has not been vaccinated, and I don't understand why I can't come up in one of these lists. But I would have a vaccine and I would travel. Just just like you.
Gotcha.
Now, Ms.
Mask
Packwood,
and all.
as a former CEO, what are your thoughts on working from home? Do you think it's something that's here to stay? Would you be in favor of it? And what do you believe are some of the pros and cons of working from home?
I think there are things that are going to change for good. I think things like board meetings will not necessarily, that goes to tourism. People won't have to fly in for board meetings because they'll be doing them virtually. They've been doing them for a whole year and they've been successful. I think that sometimes it's hard to work from home. This past year was very, very isolating for many people. And you may not have caught coronavirus, but people became very depressed, anxious, isolated. And there was a significant uptake in mental health issues. So working from home is not necessarily quite the issue. There's quite the answer. There are many people that like it. Businesses have seen more productivity because you don't have everybody gossiping around the water cooler. But it's not necessarily how you want your society to become, because then we're all little individual people in our own little houses working without any interaction. And interaction also creates stimulation and creativity. I think that there's a lot to be and I think we need to get back into the office also, because it's also more people will have jobs if you're in an office. You need less people when you're all at home. There's all sorts of less things that are being used when people are at home. And it would be good to get people back in. The other issue with working from home, or what's happened with the pandemic, is the impact that it has had on women. And I was just reading an article last week about the loss of what we as women have gained in terms of the workplace just in 1 year during the pandemic. We've lost 10 years of what we had gained because of in cases where all the children have been at home and homeschooled, they're doing their work from home. It has typically and traditionally been the woman that then stays home, gives up her job, and so the losses that we've seen statistically to women in the workplace have been tremendous. And and when there are less women in the workplace by that much, we will see a significant decline in economies across the globe.
Which is a perfect segue, because it's currently International Women's Month. And as we saw, Vice President Kamala Harris, first woman VP, do you believe that there is a sign of progress, or do we still have a long way to go as women?
If that article that I just talked about that I read last week is true, then we have even a longer way to go. Kamala Harris being nominated as vice president was significant, particularly for the United States. Yes, the rest of the world have had women leaders. The United States is not quite as advanced as I think it would like to think it is, and especially in terms of promoting and women in leadership positions. And what that said to little brown girls across the nation was tremendous. And I wore my pearls in celebration of International Women's Month. But I mentioned that Graça Machel, who was she was first lady. She wasn't elected in her own right, but she's an intellectual. She's an academic. She's a writer. She's brilliant. I heard her speak in Sandton in South Africa in 2000 at the International Women's Forum, and she was tremendous. She's so brilliant. And I was mentioning to Jamal this past weekend about Tanzania has just sworn into office Samia Hassan, who is the first woman president of Tanzania. And that's truly exciting. She was chosen as the Tanzania president vice president back in 2015, and he died last Monday, I believe, of COVID. He was a COVID denier on top of it, and but she was sworn in. It'll be interesting to see what her policy positions are, because nobody really knows quite yet. But she's deemed to be a very hard worker, very competent leader, and I'm looking forward to seeing good things coming out of Tanzania. You know, Africa has seen so many women leaders. Asia and the subcontinent have seen so many women leaders. It's really the Western world that has been behind in terms of women in leadership. And so one more statement to all of this is that Kamala, she wasn't just a figurehead. Biden has been amazing at appointing so many women, and women, Black and brown women, to leadership positions within the government. It's impressive. You know, okay, Jennifer Granholm. I'll mention her first because she went to school with her, and we're also excited that she's going to be, I believe it's Energy Secretary, and you have the Treasurer, Janet Yellen. They even did a Hamilton rap for Janet Yellen that was so cute. But there's so many women that have been appointed to his cabinet. So Biden didn't just choose Kamala as a figurehead. It was a recognition of the competence and intelligence they bring to the table.
But yes. I want to jump in there because I completely disagree with you. And I have to say it because
you won't be first.
I'm consistent in my moves on this show, and I understand and I appreciate where you're coming from, but it does seem like when Joe Biden at a what they call him, a debate, pretty much stated that he will put forth a woman as his running mate. I don't think that really benefits anyone. Now let me tell you where I'm going with this. When I was working for Bermuda Tourism, I got in a heated debate with a gentleman, a white Bermudian gentleman. And he was arguing that it should be the best person for the job. And I said, well, what does the best person for the job traditionally look like? And he said, a white man. I said, okay, cool. I hear what you're saying in reference to, she's just not just a figurehead. But I think we live in a very dangerous time where too many times, and this is my challenge with diversity and inclusion, period. Too many times we see, like right now, you go on LinkedIn, there's a Black person, man or woman, being hired as this diversity inclusion director or VP or officer. And it's like, can Black people not do any other positions? Can women not do any other positions, right? And so I think we just need I'm not in the business of seeing, I don't want to see just a Black face or a woman. I want to see people who are going to go in there and actually change cultures, because outside of that, and I think that's the challenge that people have with Kamala Harris, in fairness, it's like, okay, she had one job as a prosecutor. Let's give her, that was her job. But what is she going to do to move the needle, if at all, while she's in that position? Obviously, as I stated earlier about COVID, we won't know for probably another 5-10 years, right? But I just feel like I am totally opposite of people who sit around and just say, it's progress is Black people being in these positions or women being in these positions. Progress to me, really looks like what is the work they're doing rather than what do they look like per se. So I just wanted to share a perspective on that, because I think I've seen too many Black men get into positions and not move that needle.
Jamel, I absolutely agree with you. However, it has been shown that when you diversify a board, your executive, your management, and you bring in women, you bring in people of color, that company, that organization does better than its counterpart in the market. Yes, white men like to see themselves around the table, and they are trapped in wanting to see themselves around the table. And they will pay homage to bring in that Black person or that woman is the diversity and inclusion manager. However, the other company that goes further and does more and ends up doing better. And a lot, is it because the people that we have to be better, we have to do better, we have to work harder? Is it all of that? Maybe. I have to say that I believe that, it is clear to me Biden is bringing in very competent people. We will only, as you said, know what he has done in 5 or 10 years in terms of policies that people have set forth. What is he going to do with the border policy? They've got over 5,000 kids, unaccompanied minors, in detention centers. What's going to happen to those children?
We have to run. I don't mean to cut you off. We have to run, but we have to.
I'm sorry.
We can't forget the most important part of this show, which is the audience. And so we do have a few things coming through. Tamara Richardson, this goes back to what you said earlier about the gig economy. I think she's in agreement. She says also the gig economy likely isn't taxed in the same rate as brick and mortar businesses. So for government to make their ambitious revenue targets, we need more than gigs. So I think that goes along with what you said earlier. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, how do you feel that real estate will be affected permanently in the city of Hamilton because more people will work from home? But I think, speak from that globally in about 20 seconds or less, because we do have to take a commercial break before heading out. But what do you think real estate's in trouble if people, even if they return half to the office?
I think commercial real estate is in trouble. And I think that's across all cities globally, because people are working from home, people are spread out, can work virtually, they can go up, I go down to Bermuda from New York and work from the beach, or they can go from Bermuda and work from Australia and zoom in from, or Auckland, New Zealand. So there's many issues with commercial real estate, and that's when I go back to we could do vertical farming out of all of the commercial real estate in Hamilton, but that's a pipe dream in the near future. We need a plan. I think we always say we want to diversify the economy. I've seen that in every budget for the past 20 years, and I'm getting tired of seeing it because we haven't done anything with that.
It definitely seems like a song that's on every album over the last 20 years. So,
I swear to God.
Seriously, we see it all the time, but we have to run, got to a commercial break. Thank you so much, Cheryl Packwood, for joining us for this conversation. And we definitely look forward to your insight going forward.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You as well. Bye. All right, going to take a quick break, and we will be back with the Daily Play. Carla has a question to guess. Hint, it's easy.
At Bermuda Communications Group Limited, we love to help businesses and organizations of all sizes across various industries. Find out how we've been working with our clients to improve their customer experience and increase their revenue. Send us an email to contact@bermudacommunications.com to see how we can assist you next.
Are you a startup business and need access to office space and resources to help your business get started or to grow? The Enterprise Bermuda Incubator is a free program that helps entrepreneurs like you get beyond the idea stage to get their businesses started. Successful applicants will spend 12 months in the program getting mentorship, office space, learning opportunities, one-on-one coaching, and more. To apply, log on to bedc.bm. This is a free program with limited availability, so don't delay. Apply today. We look forward to helping you build your business.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back. Thanks again to Medical House One Communications, Linda's, our friends over at Channel 82, and every last one of you who continues to watch and listen to the Daily Hour. So it's daily playtime. This is when Carla usually guesses the right answer. Here we go. It's Monday. She is guessing a famous quote. Who said it? Quote, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. End quote.
I've heard this before. I want to say Michael Jordan, but that's wrong, you know.
Well, you've gotten lost on the pattern. It's International Women's Month, so it would be a woman.
Oprah.
Nope.
Michelle Obama.
Nope.
Maya Angelou.
Check you. You got it finally. I mean, I only talk about 22 tries, but you got it.
It's so dramatic.
It's Maya Angelou. Yes. Karen Mitchell Jones. Look, see, some folks got it. They got you, Carla. They had you. Something tells me you saw the answers, but anyway, you'll leave it another day.
There is nothing to prove that.
Yeah, really. Well, Terry was trying to take you down another route, so you know. But look, yeah, Oprah quoted. Yes, she did. Yes, she
did. Exactly. Thank you, Terry.
Yeah, it wasn't Oprah though. But we'll give Carla some points for that. Half point. She saw the answer. I'm convinced. Any inspiration for us? Give us some daily inspiration. We need it. We need it.
We must be willing to let go of the life we planned so that we can have the life that is waiting for us. Joseph Campbell.
I like that. Here's what I take from that quote is we all have plans, but sometimes plans don't go according to plan. And so we have to be prepared to shift.
Yep.
You know, hey, we all want sunny days. And unfortunately, unless you're living in California, it might rain. It might be some bad weather. So we just got to be prepared to go through any storm to get what we believe we worked so hard to deserve. Any words on today's episode, Carla?
Actually, I want to do a quick reflection on the COVID, what we opened up with, because I had this sitting at my desk. I just wanted to share real quick. These are COVID tests that my son has to take twice a week. Maybe one day Bermuda can get to that where you do the test at home. It just reduces the anxiety because I hear parents stressing. So I hope that we can get all of this COVID under control.
What does that COVID test require?
It's the same. They send packs home, government sends them, and they have to be tested twice a week. And it's the same swabbing test. They have taught the students how to swab their own noses, and then you dip it in the liquid, put it on this little thing, and it gives you a test, and then you send in the register. You send in the code electronically to register the results.
Okay, cool. Don't forget, we have a big week coming up. We're talking to the Sail GP. A lot of controversy about the sailboat race in Bermuda right now as well. But we're going to be speaking with some Tom Herbert Evans and a young person from the Endeavor program to see what Sail GP is doing for the in the community to help the community. We have some good guests. Tomorrow's Voice is coming on to speak about what they do in terms of autism this week. We have Denny O'Connor. It's going to be great speaking to him, an entrepreneur who's done very well through the pandemic in the hospitality industry. So be great to have a chat with him. And then we're rounding it up with Rusty G, DJ Rusty G, one of Bermuda's premier DJs, full-time DJ. I'm doing some exciting things, probably the most tweeted about DJ Bermuda's got. So exciting week coming up for you on the Daily Hour. Carla, any final thoughts before we go? Anything you want to tell them?
Just be safe, guys. Boost your immune system, get healthy, and look, get moving. I'm telling someone to get moving. Imagine that.
All right, champion Carla. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, and Linda's for ensuring that we're able to do this with you. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Carla Zool. I'm Jamel Hartman. Hey, tune in to Reggae Mondays on the full100radio.com right after this. Make it a great day.